Hello and welcome to the Next Step show. This is Pavel Stepanov with the Next Step, and our podcast is brought to us by VirtuDesk. It's a virtual assistant company that provides virtual assistants for your small and medium-sized needs. So let's get to it. We're talking about the pandemic and the foreclosures and the collapsed economy and everything that's been happening. So the question on everybody's mind is, do we have more foreclosures coming into the market? Do we see more short sales? Do we see more people losing their homes? Do we see more homeless population? Let's dive into it and take a look at the numbers. Take a look at the reality of what's been going on. So, when back in March the COVID pandemic hit, everybody went into the panic mode. Not exactly in a panic mode, but more of a mode where people didn't know what the hell to expect from it. you know, a lot of people were thinking, well, this is a repeat of a 2007, 2008, 2009. Some people were saying, well, not exactly. This is more of a like 9/11, where one single event occurred, boom, and economy collapsed, and it's going to come back. So, but some people were saying this is the unprecedented time, which was an unprecedented time. We never experienced that before. We never saw that economy just completely stop still and nothing happens. So um, a lot of people were scared, and actually the headlines were scary. The headlines were created not to specifically educate the public, but more to scare the public. So what happened? A lot of banks, a lot of I'm not talking about the federal government. What the federal government did, I'm talking about the banks, the mortgage people. They started to went into this sort of a preservation mode. Because I'm sure they all remember in 2008 when everybody stopped paying their mortgages, what happened? The housing market collapsed. So obviously, nobody wanted to have the market collapse again. So the lenders and the mortgage and people and the bank, the mortgage servicers, they took a proactive stance right away. They realized that, hey, this is a event occurred and we don't know what's going to be happening, but let's not put more pressure on people. Let's just stop mortgage payments right now. Let's just do a forbearance, sort of a deferral. So they started offering deferrals to the homeowners. So what does a deferral mean? If you're a homeowner and you're in a pandemic, you're in a pandemic and you lost your job, or you didn't lose your job, they offer you, say, hey, listen, we can just do some sort of a agreement with you where for 3 or 4 months you don't pay us anything, but at the end of that term you have to pay us back whatever it was owed. Or they can tag that balance to the back of the loan, and basically in 4 months you start from scratch and you're good to go. So a lot of people took advantage of that. A lot of people, whether they needed it or not, they applied for forbearance or deferral and got some sort of relief, and not to pay the mortgage. So what happened though? Recent studies show that about 30% of those people who actually took the deferral, they still kept on paying. They still kept on paying their mortgage because people figured, well, if at the end of this period of time I have to owe for 3 months in one lump sum, it's going to be non-sustainable. So they still kept on paying the mortgage. Okay, what does it tell us? It tells us people actually, um, they value the equity that they gained in their house, and they don't want to lose that equity. Okay, so this is interesting. Um, and I remember when back in March when COVID happened, I spoke with a lot of clients. A lot of clients reached out to us and say, hey, we need to just put everything on pause. We need to stop everything because we don't know what's going to be happening. So that's understandable, and that I'm sure that's a lot of banks experience that. Even the home buyers and home sellers we work with stop doing anything. You know, uh, stop their search. Stop everything. However, like as the saying goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. A lot of investors are looking and sitting and looking at this with the thought of, now it's gonna be my second chance of actually not missing out on the market and pick up some properties at a discount. Because And I actually spoke with a lot of real estate agents and a lot of investors, and they say, I'm not going to buy anything right now. I'm just going to wait because the price is going to collapse. We're going to experience 2008 2.0. We're going to experience another recession. We're going to experience another depression. It's going to be bad. Houses going to be sold in pennies for a dollar. I'm going to be able to cash in. Not so fast, my friend. And let me explain to you. Um, Well, to start, actually, let me explain one thing. Foreclosures happen regardless, whether it's bad economy, good economy. Foreclosures do happen. People get divorced, people die, people lose their jobs, people, have different life circumstances that lead them to, stop making payments for the house, and banks ultimately foreclose. However, when such a massive event happens, like with COVID-19, where a whole nation, well, not even a whole nation, a whole world is in this some sort of a standstill recession that was artificially caused by factors outside everybody's control, was artificially closed, and everybody is in the same boat pretty much. The boat stopped, and including the servicers, everybody understands this happened because of no fault of somebody in particular, and it's a little bit of a different scenario. It's a little bit of a different scenario. It's not exactly as 2008, where the crisis was caused by the underlying conditions such as bad underwriting of loans, easy loans to people who did not qualify for them. This is created by outside factors, such as, let's say, a war. Something happens. Let's say war happened. Well, this is kind of in essence like a war, and what happens is, since banks decided to give relief to people right away, took a step forward, the first one to take this to actually offer the help, and to and the federal government stepped in with all the PPP loans, with all the small business loans, with extra unemployment. So people, there are millions of people who actually lost their jobs. They still were able to have some sort of a money coming in and to make some payment to the banks and to actually maintain that, not pay probably the same type of level of of expenses that they had, but they were still able to maintain that. Also, keep in mind that in 2000, well, when people were buying homes from, let's say, 2015, 16, 18, 17, 19, uh, people were buying homes when they were having some down payment already in their property, and the properties went up in price, went up in value. So people have equity in their homes. I remember back in 2008, 2009, a lot of people were actually simply walking away from their homes. But hold that thought. Let me get back to this. Meanwhile, I just wanted to remind you guys, please click the share button, and please subscribe to our podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and on iTunes. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. All right. Tell your friends to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. So, back to this. If you guys remember back in 2009, 2008, I remember a lot of people were simply walking away from their homes, just putting the key in the kitchen table, on the kitchen counter, and walking away without a fight. Okay. The reason was that, but people didn't have any skin in the game. There were a lot of loans were given to people that didn't require any down payment. In fact, some people were actually getting paid, getting cash back at closing back in those times. I remember those crazy times. They were getting cash back at closing. Lived in a house for a while, didn't make any payments. When the bad times hit, some people just walked away. Just people just walked away. Others continued to live in the house for free until they're being foreclosed on, or actually went through a short sale, got some relocation money. So some people took advantage of this system. I personally know several people who live in their homes for free for years to come before they were even kicked out. So would the same scenario be applicable now? I don't think so. And the reason is that humans by nature are greedy people. When we have our own something in something invested, we're going to value that. So, and this is what happens when people were buying homes during from 2012 to, let's say, 2019, during the 7 years where we experienced a massive growth in prices. People were actually putting their hard earned cash as a down payment. Some people were putting 3%. Some people were putting 20%. Especially in the jumbo loans, when a lot of people, let's say, when they were getting jumbo loans on the properties that worth anywhere from 800 to $2 million, people were putting their down payment. Do you think those people really would just walk away from their houses and just write them out? Of course not. They're going to try to do anything possible to avoid a foreclosure and to retrieve their down payment back. So, considering this human nature, we're not going to see any foreclosure week. You're not going to see much of a short sales. A lot of agents actually in the brokerage that I work at asking me, so are we going to see any short sales? Should we get ready for that? My answer is no. We're not going to see short sales. And the reason is we're not going to see short sales because of equity. Short sales happen when people don't have equity in a house, they don't have cash, and they have to sell homes for way less than what they actually worth. Okay? Right now, we don't have enough inventory. The market is crazy. People are overbidding for properties. People are buying properties for actually more than asking price. And since we don't have enough inventory and we see a lot of bidding wars, we can say for sure that people have more buying power, especially with low interest rate. Low interest rates right now is like in the 2%. Okay, so considering all of those scenarios and lack of inventory, low interest rate, equity, significant equity in the homes, I do not anticipate seeing any new wave of foreclosures, at least on the same level as it was in 2008, 2009. So those of you who are waiting for deals to happen, okay, because they think the market is going to tank, my word to you, it's not going to happen. Okay, I hear sometimes people telling me, but listen, there's a very huge unemployment. A lot of people are unemployed, and right now, even though right now the jobs are coming back, we see way better in jobs report, and unemployment is being reduced. Some people say, well, it's gonna come back once the federal money dries up. It's gonna come back. Well, not I haven't seen a single legitimate, credible source that confirms that. It's not gonna happen as far as we know that. There are some speculations, but not a single legitimate, credible source confirms that. Okay, so people can say whatever they want. Nobody has a crystal ball. Okay, even the economists, like major economists, could not predict what a major pandemic could bring to us. Okay, it happened. Okay, are we coming up on top? It looks like we are coming up on top. Thankful to the government, we actually got a lot of cash infusion into the economy that allows people to stay on top, allows businesses to hire people, allows businesses to create more jobs, and to provide more income for people. All right. So, are we going to see more unemployment? I do not know. But as far as we see right now, what's going on, it's highly unlikely. Okay, if it's highly unlikely, then my friends, you're not going to see a wave of foreclosures. We're not going to see any short sales. So if you're banking on seeing that because you missed out in 2008, 2009, you're not going to see it. Okay. Uh, so those who actually want to buy at a discount, there are other ways to do it. I probably will dedicate another webinar to it, or some sort of a podcast to educate on people how to get it done. But foreclosures, I don't think so. Yeah. I'll be willing to have a debate with somebody about it. I would be willing to talk to somebody about it who has actually a different view of that. But I don't see much of a doom and gloom, even though I know the media is trying to portray doom and gloom. But mainstream media is there just for that. The only reason mainstream media is doing what they're doing, scaremongering, is because the headlines, they sell clicks. Clicks sell advertising. That's it. Okay. So anytime you guys see something like scary in the news, keep in mind, why is it being done that way? It is being done that way because clicks sell advertising. That's it. That's it. Okay. So do your own research. Educate yourself on what's happening. Educate yourself and do more of a don't. I mean, I understand. Yeah, looking at history is important. However, you have to evaluate every aspect of the history. So when you actually compare today's recession to Great Recession of 2008 2010, which was actually caused by the housing market, by the credit default swap, it's not comparable to what's going on right now. Okay, we did not have underlying bad economies to start with. We had a great economy. All right, so when the economy stopped and it's being reopened right now, we experiencing a great V-shaped recovery. So all the numbers I've seen in recent days, recent weeks indicate towards that. So even the stock market, if anybody looks at the stock market, that's a good indicator right there. So for those of you who are looking for deals, look them somewhere else. Don't look them in the foreclosure. For those of you who are considering buying a house and scared that if you buy the house, this house may just go drop down in price, don't be scared because it's unlikely that it's going to happen. And those of you actually wanted to sell and because you're scared that your house may lose value, I don't think it's going to lose value, so don't be scared. And if you sell, only if you need to sell, if you need to move, you feel you don't like your house or something else, but do not sell because it's an investment and you think you're going to lose. Again, it's my opinion, personal opinion. It's not. I'm not an economist. I'm not a predictor. I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm not giving any tax advice to anybody. All right, but I am telling you what I've been observing as an educated person, as a person in the industry. I can for sure tell you that I don't anticipate any foreclosures coming in. I do not anticipate any short sales coming in. I definitely do not see any high unemployment coming in again. Again, I don't have a crystal ball, but this is just my anticipation. All right. So we're not discussing politics on this show yet, but we may later on. And we are seeing an election. Elections coming up in a couple of months. So we'll see what happens after that. Okay. But anyway, at this time, the real estate, specifically in the Seattle area, is actually doing very well. And we don't have enough inventory. So keep that in mind, guys. Whenever you are about to sell your house or to shop for a house, or actually if you are just an investor looking to invest somewhere, make sure you invest in the income producing properties. That's just a good idea for now, because I think at some point we'll hit or will because we're going to have an inflation because too much money was printed, guys. When too much money is printed, guess what happens? The dollar loses its value. So if you have a mortgage, well, guess what? Your mortgage may be actually worth way less, which means you're going to owe the same amount of money, but it's going to be less worthy. All right, so keep that in mind. So debt is good, and in a high inflation, the debt is good. So keep that in mind. All right, and again, guys, this is the new podcast that just launched. It's called the Next Step Show. Step like from stepping off. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click to follow and share it to your friends. I would like you to at least do some comment. If you don't want to just put a comment, just put a little X cross, so at least I know you're commenting something. All right, give me your thoughts. All right, and we're going to be inviting some industry leaders pretty soon to the podcast and talk to them about the technology that's changing the world. We're going to be talking about the business ideas. We're going to be talking about the overall economic aspect of industry and investments. What do we do? Where do we invest money? Okay. So again, for those of you guys who are watching this, keep in mind this episode was brought to you by VirtuDesk, a virtual assistant company that's located in the state of Washington. And virtual assistants can help you to with all your hiring needs. If you need to hire somebody to do your work remotely, virtual assistant is the way to go. Again, the website for VirtueDesk is myvirtuedesk.com, or simply Google VirtueDesk and you'll find them. All right. Is anyway, guys, your favorite Pavel Stepanov is here with Next Step Show, and don't forget to click share and follow.